Every day we eat good. Two 8-piece chicken, two Whopper, two cheeseburger, one order of nuggets, two medium fry, two onion ring. Twist my love. Hold on. You feel me? Take out a slice of cheese for this Whopper. Yes, sir. Very beautiful. All right, man. This is horrific. Um, I want to first off by giving all the glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. I want to give double honors to my elders and apostles, like Great Millstone, who rule well and teach well. Peace and salutation unto the Lord's elect. This is the brother Yawasop. And today, um, I came across this video of this guy, and I saw a couple of other brothers doing videos about him before in the past, but he came up on my feed, man, and just this is just ridiculous with what's going on, man, with our people, and we're gonna pull out some scriptures. The first one's gonna be Hosea 4:6, and it says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, because thou hast rejected knowledge. I will also reject thee. Thou shalt not be no priest to me, saying that thou hast forgotten the law of Yahweh. I will also forget thy children." So, these the people are Israelites, man. You know, especially living in Babylon, aka America, are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. They don't have that proper wisdom and foundation that these scriptures provide. So therefore, they're going based off of what they feel is right, which is not right. And it says the heart is deceitful, you know, and you're going to be doing stuff that you shouldn't be doing. It says in Jeremiah 17:9, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? So, individuals like that want to overindulge and eat and continue to gratify your flesh. That's all you're doing. You're feeding your flesh, and you're doing the complete opposite for your spirit. Because all those toxins and all those chemicals that are going into your gut microbiome, they don't have you thinking clear in the spirit, man. They don't have you thinking clear in the spirit, and you know, we gotta acknowledge that, man, because this is the temple that the Lord, man, Yahweh Shem Yahushai gave us. And this is the book of Corinthians 3:16. Know ye not that are the temple of Yahweh. Know ye not that ye are the temple of Yahweh, and that the spirit of Yahweh dwelleth in you. So, if the spirit of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai is dwelling in us, man, we've obtained the knowledge of scriptures through him. He's given us the wisdom and understanding and the ability to know his names and the ability to understand prophecy. Ultimately we can only learn more by making sure our spirit's in check. And with that comes taking care of our body, man, our physical vessel. Because if we're not getting the proper sleep, and we're not getting the proper nutrients, the proper minerals that the body needs, we're not going to be, uh, at the best in our physical, and of course, we're living in a place where the bread is defiled among the Gentiles. We got to do the best that we can, you know. Um, let's see, we got to do the best that we can because it says in Ezekiel 4 and 13, the Lord said, this is reading from the NLT, then the Lord saith, this is how Israel will eat defiled bread in the Gentile lands, which I will banish them. So, we're living in a place where Esau controls most of the food system, but that doesn't give us an excuse to put the effort in, man, and make sure that we're eating, the best way that we can. A lot of people here, they think, oh, well, we're living in Babylon, we're already catching hell, so let's just eat whatever and do whatever. That's not a good thing, like I said, because you're not going to be clear in the spirit, and you're not going to be operating at the frequency that Yahweh Shemel Shai wants you to be at. Because it's very imperative to eat healthy, man. You know, there's herbs, there's lots of things that he's given us, but when we choose to be like that individual over there, man, that's just stuffing his face, you know, you get in 3 cheeseburgers, 3 fries, a Coke, onion rings. I mean, how much can you possibly consume until it's too late? And that, individual right there, I'm sorry to say it, man, but he's on his way out. That a guy like that's not gonna last that long. He's not gonna last that long. I'm telling you. And it's the book of First Corinthians 10 and 31. Whether therefore ye eat or drink, whatever ye do it all the glory of Yahweh. So you want to give thanks onto your meal, man. You want to pray. You want to make sure that you pray over your meal because there's a lot of people doing, wicked things to the food nowadays, man. And if we pray over your meal, the Lord is going to acknowledge that, and He's going to protect your food, man. He's going to make sure that it's going into your system, it's digesting properly. When you're stuffing your face, when you just going and grabbing the shittiest food possible, man, which is McDonald's, okay, that's one of the most lowest standard foods. You're not really acknowledging your temple, man, that the Lord blessed you with, because He gave you an able body to go out and do the work, and that's going to eventually cause distress to your body over time. Maybe once in a blue moon, even though I don't recommend that you should be even having McDonald's, period, because you should know better. But if you have to have it for whatever reason, once in a blue moon ain't gonna do that much damage. But over time, on a regular basis, it really will be. And that's a lot of things that our people, man, even when we come into this knowledge and understanding, we still gotta understand, man, because some of us don't really have that sort of knowledge or understanding, and that's okay. And that's where there's brothers out there to do um, videos and explanations on what to have instead. What to have instead. It's not like McDonald's is cheap now either. It's still expensive. You know, and I had another precept into mind, but man, Lord willing, it comes back. Let's see. Yeah, look what it says. This book of First Corinthians 6:19 through 20. What know ye that your body is a temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which ye have of Yahweh, and ye are not your own. For ye are bought with a price, therefore glorify Yahweh in your body and in your spirit, which are Yahweh's. So, the Lord, man, Yahweh Shemel Shai, he brought us with the price, man. And this is not our own body. Like we said it before, man. This is his body. He can control when it is created and when it dies. And with that, we gotta, give thanks and reverence to the Lord for giving us that, blessing. We got to be grateful, and being grateful is showing effort and showing that we care through our actions, man. You know, through our works, and that is by taking better care of our bodies, man, our health. It's like I said, not some of the brothers don't know, but when you come into this, you got to put off the old man. And to what Yahweh Shemi Shai for giving me that scripture back. Put off the old man. Because that's very important, man. Because some of us we like to eat, man. Some of us like to have meals, and don't get me wrong, man. Food can be a good thing, but too much food is not good. Now, this is Ephesians 4 and 22, that ye put off the concerning the former conversation, the old man, which is corrupt according to the deceitful lust, man. So, you can be one of those people that has that spirit of lusting after food. Some people it's a little bit different. Maybe they lust too much after women. Maybe they lust too much after money or material things, whether it be like a car or anything. It could be anything. There's many different scenarios, but there's a lot of individuals, man, that come into the truth and they have some of that stronghold, where they eat too much or they overindulge or they have more than what they need. And you got to be very mindful when you're eating too, because sometimes, it's if you just wolf down your food, Akim, Akwat, if you just wolf down your food, you're not really getting the chance to enjoy it, man. You got to be mindful. You got to be present in the moment. And that's why, like I said before, it's very important to pray over your food and pray, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, not only to protect the food and make sure it absorbs in your body, but that you're able to eat it properly and just be present. That way you're not wolfing stuff down and then you have to eat more because you tell yourself that you need more, more, more. When is it ever enough? When is it ever enough? Um, And this is the book of Philippians 3 and 19, whose end is destruction, whose God is their belly, and whose glory is in their shame, who mind earthly things. So, these people, man, in the world, man, these two-thirds and these other heathen nations, they crave all these earthly things every single day. It's just lust, 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 carnal lust, fleshly lust. Let me feed my belly. Let me eat good food. And, I see it even with, my own family, man, where they just they can have access to that food almost all the time. Meanwhile, they still eat it like it's gonna run out of extinction. I can understand that, you go into a place where there's not that food, you're not gonna try it again for a long time. You want to have it. You've been doing good. You've been taking care of yourself. Okay, free yourself. There's a balance to everything. You know, what does it say? Eat and drink, and enjoyment. Because there's a balance to things. And the Lord, he obviously wants us to not deprive ourselves, from food. But at the same time, there's a balance. He doesn't want us to overindulge. And this is the book of Ecclesiastes 3 and 13. And also that every man should eat and drink and enjoy the good of all his labor. It is a gift of Yahweh, man. So it's a gift from the Lord, man, to enjoy, good, clean food. But with that, there's a balance to everything. And that's why you have to use wisdom and discernment, proper judgment to tell yourself, am I having too much? Am I stuffing my face at this function that I'm at, or do I need that extra plate, or is it just my flesh telling me? Am I really that hungry, or is it just my flesh telling me to eat more and more and more, man? Because Satan, he wants to just clog up your body to where, you're tired afterwards, and then you don't end up doing a lesson then because you ate too much and your stomach hurts, or you end up getting distracted. And that's why it's important to go on a fast sometimes, Akia, because there could be certain things that you just clogged up. You might be having too much, and you have to put yourself back in check. And it don't even have to be like a 3 day, 4 day fast. Maybe we're not in that position to do so. Maybe because of certain um things like we're working, we're gonna be outside. We gotta use proper discernment. Like I said, you're gonna go, you're working, you're doing hard labor, and your body's not not um what's the word, prepared or acclimated to do a long-term fast, then you could do intermediate fasting, or you could just have water for an extended amount of time. But these things are still good than just constantly eating every day, just not putting your uh, flesh in check. Because we have to constantly put our flesh in check. And what does it say, man? Certain things come out through prayer and fasting, because the way that we can get rid of certain strongholds that we're dealing with, certain demonic thoughts and processes that are, certain demonic thoughts that the devil wants to plant in us is by fasting, man, and prayer. It says in the book of Matthew 17 and 21, howbeit this kind goes not only out, but by prayer and fasting. So, you know, we gotta use that weapon and tool, man, because the Lord, he gave us that as a weapon to fight off these demons. And when you go on a fast with the Akim that do here and there, you do feel much more better in the spirit if you're on point, if you're focused, not if you're just like on your phone and you're fasting for a long time and you're just on your phone doing the regular. No, like I'm talking about you're fasting and you're being in these scriptures, man. You're meditating on these precepts. It's very, very filling. Okay, and don't be going around telling everybody either. Oh yeah, I just did a 4 day fast, water fast, or don't show it like you are. Try your best to hide it. Sometimes it's hard, man, because we have those spurts where we get a little tired, but you know, the Lord sees ultimately at the end of the day. You're doing it for the Lord, not for anybody else. Okay. And the book of Deuteronomy 21:20, and they shall say unto the elders of the city, this our son is stubborn and rebellious and will not obey his voice. He's a glutton and he's a drunkard. The same thing applies to people that like to drink, man. What does it say? Just like, eating is a good thing, but do it for the glory of Yahweh. A little bit of wine makes a man merry. It's good to have wine here and there. When you're just grabbing the bottle all the time, in the morning, you're grabbing the bottle, you're having wine every single freaking day. You gotta relax, all right? Because that could open up doors for certain spirits, but you don't want to be that person that doesn't hearken onto the voice of Yahweh, man. You're saying, you know what? No, I want to eat more. I want to drink more. I don't care. Because you know what? You're not really listening to the Lord. You're really not. And that's not a good thing. Okay. Um, let's see. Yeah, and it says Jeremiah 17:9. I believe I brought this out, but elders and apostles say the repetition is the is Barak, what did they say? Repetition is huh? The father of skill, the water. Yeah, this is the book of Jeremiah 17:9. The heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it? So, the heart is deceitful. It craves a lust. It craves a flesh, and you can never understand it. That's why you have to strive to be in that spirit, man. At all times. And this is going back on to uh, let's see, um, Romans 13:14. But ye put on ye the Lord Yahweh Shai Hamashiach and make not provision for the flesh to fulfill the lust thereof. So, strive for mastery, man. Strive to be, you know, perfect, even though we're not. We strive to be like Yahweh Shai, man. We strive to follow his ways, and through that, we're putting off these lusts, and that's where Colossians 3:2 comes in because we want to set your affection on the things above, not on the things on earth. You gotta think you gotta think kingdom minded, man, because if you're constantly thinking about the things on this earth, and this video, doesn't only apply to food, Akio. This applies to just lust in general, man, flesh in general, because that's just an example, that guy right there, man. Because too much of one thing is not good, and that's where we go to the book of Proverbs 25:16. Hast thou found honey? Eat so much as it is sufficient for thee, lest thou be filled with it and vomit it. So, eat your daily bread, man. It's sufficient. What's sufficient enough? Don't stuff yourself, because then you're just gonna vomit it all out. And that same thing applies with the scriptures, man. If you're just, pushing the scriptures too much to where you're not understanding it and not soaking it in, you're not gonna be able to, absorb it. That goes for a lot of other things as well. And we have to have our daily bread. Um, Let me bring that out. It's the book of Matthew 6:11. Give us this day our daily bread. So, you know, ask the Lord, Yahweh Shai, man. If I'm eating too much, if I'm indulging too much, give me my daily bread. Give me what I need, not what I want. Because this world, Babylon the Great, tries to program you, man, in the flesh to think that you have to constantly get more and more and more, and it's never enough. It's never enough. And we got to understand that for what it is. We got to be able to identify that. This is the book of Galatians 5:16 through 26. This I say then, walk in the spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh, for the flesh lusteth against the spirit, and the spirit against the flesh, and these are contrary to one another, so that ye cannot do the things that ye would. But if ye be led of the spirit, then ye are not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness, idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, strife, seditions, and heresies, envyings, murderers, drunkenness, revilings, and such, of which I tell you before, as I have told you in the time of past, then that do things such that will not inherit the kingdom of Yahweh. But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long suffering, gentleness, goodness, and faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law. And they that are Hamashiachs have crucified the flesh with the affections and lusts. If we live in the Spirit, then let us also walk in the flesh. Let us not be serious of vainglory, provoking one another, envying one another. So let me come back to that right now, 24 through 25. Let me read that again. And they are Hamashiachs that crucified the flesh and affection with the affections of lust. We live in the spirit. Let's also walk in the spirit. So you have to strive to walk in the spirit, man. You got to put that flesh and crucify it. You got to and it's a walk every single day. It's not something where every single day is going to be perfect. All right. It's not something where, it's going to be on point every day. There's going to be some days where it's a little bit more rockier, but, um, you're doing whatever you can. Okay. And, let me see this right here. And this is the book of First Corinthians 9 and 27. But I keep my body and bring it into subjection, lest by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be cast away. So, when you're preaching to others, you want to lead by example. You want to lead by good fruit. And, doing so, you're going to keep your body and bring it into subjection, by any means necessary. So if you have to go on a fast and it's going to hurt your flesh and your physical, and it's going to be painful, man, you might get a headache throughout the day, whatever it may be, it's going to actually benefit you in the long run, so long that you're doing it with, sincerity and intention. And we have to strive to just put off that flesh every day and be in the spirit and not overindulge, Akim. So I just wanted to put that out there, man. And Lord willing, I pray that you found this lesson edifying. I want to give all the glory and honor to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles, the great most who rule well and teach well. Peace and salutation unto the Lord's elect.